morning. Thank you, Brett.
Please start us out with an opening statement, then we'll go ahead and open the call for questions, please.
Well, we're extremely excited to get a win like we had yesterday with Illinois. It was a great game. If you're watching it from an entertainment perspective, and if you're watching it as a fan of the game, they did some really good things. I thought we did some really good things. There's a lot of learning for both teams. And really, at the end of the day, we just were able to make one more run. And it was our guys showed poise. I liked our leadership on the floor and in the huddles, with our team. And the fact that we continued to execute. There were a couple different times in the game where we could have gotten down and given in, and we didn't do that. And that's a sign of the maturity, I think, that we're gaining, which is really important. And we're looking forward to this week.
Thank you, Coach. Let's go straight to questions, please.
If you'd like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Your first question comes from the line of Mike Miller with the Bloomington Herald-Times.
Hey, good morning, Tom. How are you?
Morning, Mike. How are you?
Doing well. I just wanted to ask you about some of the versatility you might have in the front court right now. What are you able to do by maybe playing Max or Colin at the 5 and Emmett at the 3 or the 4 right now?
Well, it's the spacing aspect of it on offense, and then it certainly we can't give up things defensively when we don't have in height and maybe length. So that's where our movement has got to be good. We've got to mix up how we play people. Our coverages have got to change a little bit. We have to be even a stronger defensive rebounding team with our guards. But offensively, we can do more things as far as where they're at on the court, especially when the ball gets moving. And I think that's what we tried to work on a little bit the last few days. That's what we've done with Colin before, but now we're trying to do it even a little bit more. And we'll see how it goes. But the bottom line is you've got to be able to defend, you've got to be able to rebound. And when those things are happening, then the offensive part is secondary. But if the defense and rebounding are sound, then you can be a little bit more creative on the offensive side.
As a quick follow-up, how comfortable is Emmett being able to drive the ball?
Well, I think he will be. We see it in practice. There's no doubt about that. He's getting better with it all the time. And again, it becomes just a part of him moving against a moving defense and not necessarily a set defense where they would necessarily see it coming. So we've been able to do that with all of our forwards over time. Cody became an excellent driver. Certainly Noah got better with it. Christian became an outstanding driver. It's just all part of what we're trying to do with developing them in practice and the stuff that we do as far as drills and expectations and target areas that we're trying to hit in practice of what they're able to do, from week to week. And then it just becomes a matter of are they comfortable doing it in games, and we're getting there.
Thanks, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Your next question comes from the line of Zach Osterman with the Indianapolis Star.
Hey, Tom. This is sort of, I guess, a more general question, but a lot of people talk about Indiana and Maryland as two of maybe the more surprise teams in the conference, and I'm just curious, as you start to study them, what has allowed Maryland to, I guess, just build this impressive start to the season? Obviously, new conference, and I think they had a lot of roster turnover last year. Just what, in your mind, has allowed them to start so well this season?
Well, I don't know Mark very well, but I have a lot of respect for him. But I had enough conversations with him to know he was really excited about his team in the off season, and I think that's playing out. And what they have is tremendous versatility. They have a lot of matchup issues all over the court. They're getting outstanding guard play from not only Trimble, who's playing incredibly well, but the freshman guards and Pack is playing well, and certainly Nickens and Wiley can shoot the ball. But what you have with Layman, Wells, Smotrich, they're inside people. There's a lot of versatility. I think what I see when I watch them is an incredibly good screening team. They got almost everybody on the court can not only shoot the ball, but they can handle the ball. So they get a lot of good driving, they get a lot of good isolations. And they've got an incredibly hard matchup in Des Wells because of not only the way that he can drive it, shoot it, and score it, but because of the ways that he can pass it, especially from the low post. So the versatility of their team on offense and defense. They've got really good length. They don't take a lot of chances defensively. Those type of things are making them really good. And then I think if there's one stat that's glaring, it's how many free throws they're getting attempted and how many they're making. I mean, they're doing a great job in this league of getting to the line and capitalizing on it.
And I guess just as a sort of individual follow-up, and I know it's early in the season, but you guys will be playing for at least a share of first place in the conference. I think you've been underdogs in 4 of your 5 games thus far. Is there a point where you ever feel like you've got to address expectations with this group, or do you think that they'll handle it maybe just internally or naturally?
We just practice and we just go in every day. I mean, there's no talk of any of that. The focus will be so much on how much better we can get this week and how much better we'll have to get to play Maryland and then have to turn around and go to Ohio State on Sunday. So we're truly in no position where we're getting ahead of ourselves in any stretch, and we haven't all year, and we're certainly not going to start now.
Thanks, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
We've got time for one final question, please, Darla.
Your final question comes from the line of Don Marcus with the Baltimore Sun.
Yes, Tom. Can you talk about the adversity that some of you guys had, some of the team had off the court, and did it bring off during the off season? Did it bring the team close together and maybe help them, get through adversity on the court during the season?
Well, I'm sure it has. I don't think there's any question about that. I don't think you can have some of the things that we've had to deal with this year and not go one of two ways. And I think this team has continued to bond and grow up. And we have a lot of young guys in our team. I think there's only 10 teams, according to the Ken Palm ratings, that have less experience than us in all of Division I. So you really have no choice but to grow up and get better. And I think that's what we're constantly striving for every day, and making sure that we're maxing the day out the best way that we can, not getting ahead of ourselves, learning from the last game, getting ready for the next game by what we do in that practice, and taking everything very serious on a day-to-day basis.
And just a quick follow-up, can you compare the progression that Trimble to what you saw of Yogi as a freshman?
Yogi did an awful lot for us as a freshman and was playing on the number 1 team in the country, with some veterans that made the game easier for him, but he made the game easier for them as well, with the way that he moved the ball, the way that he could make open shots, the way that he defended. I would say that Trimble is doing all of that. And the Maryland team is one that has a lot of moving parts on it, offensively and defensively. There's a lot of creativity that Mark has, with the way that they're guarding, the way that they're playing offense. And I think he flourishes in that because he can score at the basket. He can score in the middle of the lane. He can shoot threes, obviously. He gets other people's shots. He changes speeds and directions extremely well. And those are all things that I think Yogi did pretty well at the same point.
Thanks a lot.
Sure.